if you're starting at square one, there's a very clear difference between being non-woke in America and being Vladimir Putin invading a sovereign nation and killing civilians, right? So it's like, it might be hard for some people to make that leap when we're talking about a slippery slope.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't want to make a direct comparison there, but if we think about how businesses prior to all this, in England, for example, banks were refusing to do business with people who they considered to be white supremacists. Well, if I ran a bank, I wouldn't want to do business with a white supremacist either. But where do you draw the line? Do people who are bad actors in the judgment of financial institutions and companies, do they have a right to participate in commerce? This is a question that is live in China with the social credit system. And I just worry about this. Maybe I'm worrying too much about it. But when I hear Elizabeth Warren, we
talked about yesterday about how Michelle Malkin got banned by Airbnb, she says, because of her association with a guy who does appear to be affiliated with or he himself is a white supremacist, or all I know is that he's said absolutely hateful things about Ben Shapiro and mocked shooting Ben Shapiro with his yarmulke on. Not a good guy, this guy, Nick Fuentes.
Right.
But so she's got an association with this guy and she refuses to condemn him. Okay, that's Michelle's business. That's Nick Fuentes' business. But Airbnb is saying she's not allowed to do business with them. I mean, that does scare me. They call Tucker a white supremacist and he's not. Is he next to go? Like, obviously they've thrown the racist word against me, against half of our country at this point. How far, how far could they take that, right? If these companies get to decide if they're the moral arbiters of us all.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you an example, too. Ryan T. Anderson is one of the most preeminent Catholic intellectuals in the U.S. He wrote a book about transgenderism. It came out 2 or 3 years ago. It was critical of transgenderism, but it was compassionate and learned and intelligent. He found out 1 year ago exactly that Amazon had stopped selling the book. They didn't even notify him. He just found out because one of his readers discovered it.
When
Amazon
Harry met Sally.
Them that when Harry became Sally. They told Ryan that we're not going to sell books that depict transgenderism as a mental disorder. Now, on Amazon today, you can buy Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler, but you can't buy Ryan Anderson's book. Isn't that weird? And here's the thing, too. Amazon has a right in a free country to sell or not sell whatever it wants to. But because Amazon controls something like 80% of the American book market, if they decide that they're not going to sell a certain type of book, like a book that takes a certain stance on gender ideology, then those books are not going to be printed because no publisher can afford to do that. This is the kind of thing I talk about in my book, Live Not by Lies, the soft totalitarianism coming in when you have all the companies and all the institutions playing off the same ideological playbook. They can bring a world of hurt to people they consider to be dissidents.
Mm-hmm. Right. And they're just gearing up. I mean, to see soft little doughy Justin Trudeau unleash the measures he did on those truckers was stunning. And not just the truckers, but just any random civilian who donated $25 to them. It was stunning. So if you don't think it can happen here at home, it's already happened in a more liberal country with a very weak leader who somehow, I'm not saying I respect it, I did, it's disgusting, but somehow found the nerve to actually unleash those kinds of tactics on his own people. And here in America, we've had even more practice over the past 2 years in the wake of the Black Lives Matter thing and the trans stuff and all the banning and the canceling we've been doing. We've got way more practice. We're getting in our 10,000 hours just about every month here in America in how to hurt people whose views we disagree with.
Right. And we're training ourselves to be illiberal. I mean, I say liberal, I mean liberal in the broadest sense, in which we respect classical liberal values like free speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association. We are supposed to respect hearing other people's point of view and trying to reason through that. All of that is being thrown out the window in this moralistic fervor. And it's happening with wokeness, which has become the successor ideology to liberalism within American institutions. And I think that we can see the moral panic that has been unleashed against all things Russian. They're even kicking Russian movies out of film festivals here in Europe, in Glasgow and Stockholm. I think this is part of the same thing. We have thrown aside the liberal instinct that tells us, and when you and I were growing up, we were taught that, wait a minute, you have to be tolerant of other people. You got to give other people their say. You never know. You don't know everything. They might have something to teach you. All of that is gone now.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.